What if I told you that one of the world's largest companies is actively pushing its own employees to quit? Sounds unbelievable, right?
Amazon is to lay off an additional 9,000 workers.
Meanwhile, Amazon is reportedly planning to lay off almost about 20,000 employees.
Amazon India plans to cut 1% of its workforce.
Prepare to be blown away as we unravel the truth behind Amazon's shocking agenda. In this video, we'll expose the tactics and motivations driving Amazon to encourage its own workforce to resign. Stick around until the end, where we'll reveal why people still choose to work for Amazon despite all of this. While it may sound counterintuitive, it's definitely true. Amazon actually wants its employees to resign. In fact, Amazon's turnover rate is so alarmingly high that they monitor it weekly. Every week, approximately 3% of warehouse workers bid farewell, resulting in a mind-boggling annual turnover rate of 150%. This means that Amazon replaces its entire warehouse workforce every 8 months. Amazon has created a terrible working environment, subjecting employees to safety hazards and extreme pressures. Founder Jeff Bezos argues that a tenured workforce breeds complacency and reduced motivation, so they attract ambitious individuals, make them work tirelessly for a few years, and eventually motivate them to move on. This cycle ensures a continuous influx of enthusiastic and dedicated workers. Essentially, Amazon has mastered the art of operating a ruthlessly efficient system where employees are swiftly replaced like cogs in a machine. Let's discuss the strategies Amazon applies to make its employees leave. You won't want to miss this. When it comes to Amazon's treatment of blue-collar workers, their approach is far from complicated. They create a high-pressure environment with relentless targets and zero downtime. However, the way they handle their tech workers is even more intriguing. Tech workers command substantial salaries, which forces Amazon to employ cunning yet deplorable tactics. One of the most noteworthy strategies is manipulating vesting periods. When we say vesting periods, we mean the time you have to wait before you can actually get your hands on the stock you've been promised. Most tech companies allow a 4-year schedule where the stock is divided evenly over those years. For example, at Facebook, you get 25% of your stock each year, with 6.25% unlocked every quarter. Now, here's where Amazon and Google do things differently. Amazon's engineers receive 5% of their stock after a year, 15% after 2 years, and the remaining 80% in the 3rd and 4th years. In contrast, Google offers a monthly vesting schedule, granting stock incrementally, similar to a regular salary. To explain how Amazon manipulates the vesting periods to pay their employees less, let's consider a hypothetical scenario. It'll paint a clear picture. Suppose you have the choice between a position at Google and a position at Amazon with similar salaries of a little over $500,000. While Amazon may initially appear to pay more, the $318,000 stock compensation is spread over 4 years. In total, you would receive around $1.27 million. We'll find out how many of the average workers actually end up with these $1.27 million later on. Google's stock compensation is also distributed over 4 years, but their vesting schedule is fairer and avoids disadvantages. In the first year, Google provides approximately $611,000 in stock, compared to Amazon's $306,000. In the second year, Google adds another $611,000, while Amazon offers around $433,000. By the third year, Google decreases to about $506,000, but Amazon jumps to approximately $750,000. In the fourth year, Google drops to about $401,000, while Amazon remains at around $750,000. You might wonder why Google's compensation decreases over time. It's because they anticipate an increase in stock price when you receive it. Consequently, factoring in stock growth, your overall compensation should remain relatively stable. Amazon, too, is likely to experience stock growth, resulting in compensation exceeding $1 million in the last 2 years. However, they will do everything possible to push you out within the first 2 years. Doesn't seem very fair now, does it? Did you know that the average Google or Amazon tech worker rarely stays for more than 2 years? At Google, the average tenure is 1.9 years, slightly surpassing Amazon's 1.84 years. While the employee retention doesn't vary significantly, the compensation difference is staggering. Google employees receive their stocks monthly, so if they leave at 1.9 years, they would have vested over 60% of their stock. At Amazon, it's a different story. Leaving at 1.84 years means they won't have vested their year 2 stock, only retaining the 5% vested after the first year. Remember that generous $1.27 million stock grant from Amazon? Well, the average employee will end up with just $63,000 of it. On the other hand, a Google employee would have received around $571,000 worth of stock. When you factor in base salary and bonuses, a Googler's effective salary reaches $611,000, while an Amazon employee earns a mere $274,000, less than half of what they thought. Yes, Amazon tries to bridge the gap with a cash bonus during the first year, but it's not a permanent solution. The truth is, sticking around for 4 years is incredibly tough due to something we call the axe. What is the axe, you ask? Well, let's get into it. Well, Amazon basically uses performance improvement plans, or PIPs, to evaluate and rank employees each year. In the rankings, the bottom 10% end up being terminated. This policy disproportionately affects new hires and fosters a toxic work environment. Team members resort to backstabbing to avoid being placed on a PIP, all striving to reach the elusive 2-year mark and secure stock compensation. But here's the reality. Most employees don't make it to 2 years. However, let's say you're one of the lucky few who do. Congratulations on a big payday. But here's the twist. Amazon still wants you to leave. Surviving the full 4 years reduces the likelihood of being forced out through a PIP. Yet Amazon's strategy shifts to significantly reducing your pay. They hope you either leave voluntarily or continue working for much lower compensation. Either option works for them. It sounds like an incredibly inhumane business model. How do they get away with it? Remember that massive stock grant they gave you at the beginning? Well, don't expect anything like that again. You might get some smaller stock refreshers, but they can't compare to your compensation in years 3 and 4. For instance, if you were an L7 employee, your compensation would drop from nearly $1 million to $300,000, and you're still expected to perform at the same level to avoid a PIP. By this point, most remaining Amazon employees have had enough. If the PIPs didn't push them out, the reduced pay usually does. With all this clear as day, all this begs the question, why do people still choose to work at Amazon? For delivery drivers and warehouse workers, Amazon often offers the only available job opportunity. But what about tech workers? Aren't they knowledgeable enough to see through these tactics and do thorough research? Well, they are aware of the challenges, but many still choose Amazon because it can be their gateway to a prestigious big tech job. Sure, they could go for reputable companies like Visa or Oracle, but joining them wouldn't have the same impact on their career as Amazon. Tech workers endure all the challenges not just to work on Amazon's retail side, but mainly for the allure of Amazon Web Services, AWS. If you're unfamiliar, AWS is the industry leader in cloud computing and infrastructure, boasting a massive 41.5% market share, surpassing all competitors combined. Microsoft holds 29.4%, while Google lags far behind at just 2.6%. This dominance makes former AWS employees highly sought after in the cloud space, with many job postings requiring AWS experience as a minimum. So, are there any real incentives to working for Amazon? What do you think? Enduring Amazon's challenges is seen as the best chance to secure a job at a non-abusive big tech company. And it often works. Many who leave Amazon after 1.84 years receive opportunities at companies like Apple or Google, particularly in their cloud departments. Interestingly, Amazon doesn't take this as an insult. They are content being a springboard for other big tech companies, benefiting from acquiring cheap labor. This dynamic is unlikely to change on the tech side of Amazon. However, things may be evolving for blue-collar workers. Let's see how up next. High turnover may not concern a small company, but for Amazon, with over 1 million employees, it poses a risk of depleting the potential worker pool. Leaked internal research indicates that Amazon has been facing this crisis since mid-2021. By 2024, just 6 months away, Amazon is projected to exhaust its warehouse workforce. While a looming recession may buy them more time, they will eventually face the consequences of churning through such a massive number of employees. Only time will tell how Amazon navigates through these imminent obstacles and how this ruthless work culture plays out in the long run for the e-commerce giant. Makes you wonder how these tech giants and billionaires use everything to their advantage to make money. Click the video on the screen now, where we discuss some more surprising secrets on how some billionaires have made their fortunes.